What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. And in this video right here, we got a little subject we want to talk about today, and we're going to mix two different flows, right? So I got two different flows that I'm going to mix up with you, and we're going to go ahead and speak on it, right? So the two flows I got for y'all today are coordination and appliance, and my other one is depth control, right? So if you know, in my last videos, I talked about how in depth control is very simple. It's similar to muscle control. How deep can you control your muscles, right, before you get into an actual function or action that you do, right? Along with coordination and appliance, which you know what that is. Coordination and appliance, if you don't know what that is, being able to hop into a function and learn as you go, right? So now, in this video, we want to talk about a few things, right? So I know, like, as when you're growing up, and expanding on my last video where we talked about receiving new information, right? And we receive new information. A lot of times we like to take that information, and we sometimes it can have too much of an effect on what we already got going on, right? And we kind of miss the aspect or the notion of take it with a grain of salt, or take a little here, leave the rest here, right? Because everybody has their own way that they develop themselves, right? They have their own life, their own backstory, their own whatever, right? And that pretty much pertains to how they grow, right? But there are some things that we want to talk about that are universal, though. Things that, pertain to everybody in terms of growth, right? And those things, one of those things being time under tension, right? The more time you spend at something under tension, the better you get at that mechanic, right? And the other one being accuracy, timing and accuracy, operating in angles, right? The angle or perspective you take at something, right, is the angle or perspective that you is the angle that you or perspective that you take in a technical function is what will allow you to have a channel or vehicle to operate and perform the way you want to perform, right? There's no performing in a technical function, or there's no performing in anything you want to do without some sort of perspective, right? And you can think of perspective as a vehicle, right, or outlet to allow you to be able to actually perform within whatever means you have to perform in, right? So that's the second thing, right? So but that's gonna be the nature of this video right here, is expanding and talking more about being able to maintain your perspective, one, and also being able to have precision, right? Because we talk about precision a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's about being precise about what you want, right? When you want something, right, you have to be precise about that thing that you want. And with that thing that you want and that you're being precise about, you have to have muscle control, right? You have to be so in depth with that thing that, you know what I'm saying, you really can't get taken out of it, right? And that's focusing on details. That's doing all these little things, right? You know what I'm saying? But what's also important in terms of developing yourself is what's going on around you, right? Your environment, you know what I'm saying? And when you train or practice, right, and you develop yourself, it's going to be a little, it's just maybe a little bit different, but I'm going to say this. It's important to develop yourself in a particular way, right? In terms of the music you listen to, right? There's a specific music. You don't want to change the workout regimen at all. You want to be as detailed and precise as you can be, right? Like, in terms of the music you listen to, the setting, right? And you want to be able to, when you get into different environments, or if you have to train in a different space, connect the dots and be able to connect. Okay, so this is similar to this is similar to this, and reconnect. Because life is really about you reliving moments that you've already been through, right? And these moments have defined who you are. These moments have have fine-tuned yourself, right? And have stamped who you are, right? And the important thing to do is to be able to connect the dots from in between where you were at and in a particular point in time before to where you are currently. Because if you can't connect the dots, then now all that, now as they say, as they say in the Bible, he who is, but he who isn't, right? What does that even mean, right? That's the mind. That's the mind not being able to manifest something, right? So that's something that is, but yet isn't, right? So you have to be able to manifest whatever that thing is, you know what I'm saying, that you want to manifest, because if you don't, now you're leaving it in the hands of some. Now you're leaving it in the hands of something that is, uncontrol, not in your control, right? So the important thing, you're leaving it in the devil's hands, right? It's like leaving it in the devil's hands. So, like I said, it's important to be able to understand yourself, love yourself, understand your journey, and understand the depth of your journey as much as possible, and be able to connect the dots from in between spaces that you were at before and where you are now. Because if you can connect those dots, now you can properly articulate where you were at before. Now the tough thing about this is distraction. Distraction is what stops you from being able to go back into the spaces, that journey, which is your life, which is the most important thing. The most important thing in life is your journey. That's the most important thing, not anything external or what you see, because everything external and everything that you see it does not define and does not properly represent what you bring to the table. What you bring to the table is coming from your own journey and your own life, right? So a lot of times when people don't want to go back and relive those spaces, is because there's a lot of trauma, and there's a lot of things that there's a lot of things that they don't want to relive. A lot of hurt and a lot of pain and a lot of frustration that they don't want to relive. A lot of agony, right? But the hardest thing to possibly do is to keep reliving those spaces, because one, you have to be able to take what you have got out of it. What have you become from those spaces, right? You have to be able to go back in those spaces to take what you have become from those spaces and apply it to your current situation. Because a lot of people, man, that get locked up or go through the worst type of situations and go through a lot of pain and hurt, and all of a sudden get flipped into a different environment that doesn't, how are you going to probably be able to relive that experience, right? You know what I'm saying? And that goes into a book that I'm even making about the adventures of Jonathan, right? It's a book I'm making, right? And it's how this great warrior went through so much, but at the same time he went through so much, he had to transition back into society where his skills weren't accepted. His attributes and what he brought to the table was no longer necessary. And he has to find a way in order to properly articulate and properly transform his gifts and his attributes into the functions of society, and into something that will be able to perform properly in society, right? So this is the nature of what I want to talk about in this video right here, right? It's being able to properly transform spaces that you've been through, spaces that you've been in, even if it's the most harshest and roughest spaces, because everybody goes through something. Everybody goes through a lot, man. But you have to be able to go back into those spaces and take what you learn from those spaces. That's everything you got. That's all you got, right? So being able to go back and relive those spaces, and being able to take what you learn from those spaces and apply it to the present, and keep applying it and keep transforming it, keep adapting it, keep making it as flexible as possible in order to fit every situation Because if you don't fit into that situation, then what are you? Then what are you? Right? Now, the important thing to know, like, you know what I'm saying, with this, then this is what the nature of this video wasn't supposed to go like this, but man, I feel it that I need to really spread and articulate this message right here. And I think it's really important, you know what I'm saying? And that's that transition, right? Being able to really transition skills, because it can be hard. This stuff can be hard as hell, trying to transition. And it comes from not loving yourself. It comes from being able to properly love yourself and actually being able to properly love the journey that you've been through, regardless of how gruesome. Love the journey. Love what you've been through. Love what you have gained from your journey in those spaces. You can't take nothing for granted. Nothing. So you have to really be able to go through those spaces and take everything that you've built, because that's what you built. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of how fucked up it was, regardless of how fucked up it is, man, you got to be able to take what you built. You can't leave nothing on the table, because God ain't gonna have it. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to my real dogs out there. I'm talking to my real dogs out there, man. Like, you can't leave nothing on the table. Like, everything that you've been through, you have created something from each space of every opportunity. You can't let that go to waste, and you're not going to let that go to waste, because God ain't going to have it. You feel what I'm saying? So, without further ado, that's going to conclude this video right here, man. But I can really expand on this subject for a minute, man. Like, because people really won't understand. Because people are so quick to judge, and they have really not have been through the type of stuff that a real dog has been through. Because a real dog really don't say shit, man. A real dog don't say shit, man. You know what I'm saying? When you really been through some shit, you really don't talk about it. You don't judge. You don't say shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you done been through so much pain and so much hurt. I mean, there really ain't shit to say. You feel what I'm saying? Because you know how bad this shit can get. You know how crazy, you know what I'm saying? You know how fucked up shit can be, right? So you don't say nothing. You feel me? But at the end of the day, that's the message of this video right here, though, is to love the journey of your life, regardless of how fucked up it was, man. That's the lesson in this whole video right here. It's to love the journey of your life, regardless of how fucked up it was, man. Because you done built something in that journey that can really affect and help somebody, right? You really done built something that can really help somebody. And you're going to have to fall back on that. You're going to have to die by that. And you're going to have to say, fuck everybody else's flattery. Fuck everybody else's bullshit. Fuck everybody else's little soft, weak shit, whatever type of fuck shit that people got going on, man. Fuck all that shit, man. All that weak sissy shit that people got going on, man. Fuck all that shit, man. Because you done built something, bro. And all that little shit that everybody else got going on, you don't gotta transition into society. That's why I make these videos in the first. That's why I made the topic in the first place, talking about precision. You come into a function with precision. You don't come into a function to fit in or try to be a part of any of the other type of bullshit that people got going on, man. You come in with precision. You feel what I'm saying? With precision. You come in, you know exactly what you want, and you understand the functions of how shit is going on, right? But you come in with precision. You know what you want, and you're gonna get what you want out of that function, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's how a real dog should really approach shit, man. You can't really be trying to fit into all this other bullshit that they got going on, man. Because you done been through too much real shit. And all that shit does is soften you up. And all it does is really damage and dirty up. It really corrupts and contaminates your message and your beauty. All this shit. You know what I'm saying? All it does is pollute your own beauty and your own mechanics. And the shit that you and the shit that you know what I'm saying, progress with and built in those spaces, man. But I'm gonna conclude this video right here. Man, like, hopefully this message reaches somebody, even if it comes off as rough, man. Hopefully that people can really take this for what it is, man. Like, You know what I'm saying? And really apply this message, man, and really hold on to this. But all right, y'all. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Peace. We out.